Romans, February was also sacred to Juno Febrata, the goddess of Febris, or fever, of love and of women and marriage. On February 14th, billets, which are small pieces of paper, each of which had the name of a teenage girl written on it, were put into a container. Teenage boys would then choose one billet at random. The boy and the girl whose name was drawn would become a so-called couple, joining in erotic games at feasts and parties celebrated throughout Rome. After the festival, they would remain sexual partners for the rest of the year. This custom was observed in the Roman Empire for how long? For centuries. Hence, Valentine's Day. Nothing new is under the sun, and you can bet that they were doing this when? In biblical times. They were doing this during the time of Noah, the time of Moses, all of that. But it goes on to talk about how this festival became the Feast of the Purification of the Virgin Mary, and its observance was later changed from February 14th to the 2nd, which was then changed back to the 14th. And notice this too. It is also known as Candlemas, the presentation of the Lord, the purification of the Blessed Virgin, and the feast of the presentation of Christ in the temple. The Blessed Virgin. Who's the Blessed Virgin? Is that talking about the Virgin Mary? Is that talking about Isis? Is that talking about Ishtar? You bet it is, because what did they do at the Council of Nicaea with Constantine? They blended paganisms with the new religion called Christianity, which comes from paganism. It is all pagan. The article goes on to talk about how they Christianized Valentine's Day to make it become popular when we're not supposed to partake of any of that at all, nor are we supposed to partake in Christianity. But I'm going to go on to talk about Valentine and who was the original Valentine. What does the name Valentine mean? Valentine comes from the Latin Valentinus, which derives from valens, and it means to be strong, powerful, mighty. Who does that sound like? The Bible describes a man with a very similar title, and Cush begot Nimrod. He began to be a mighty one in the earth. He was a mighty hunter before Yahuwah, wherefore it is said, even as Nimrod the mighty hunter before Yahuwah, in the Barashit, through Genesis chapter 10, verses 8 to 9. Listen to this. He was said to have hunted with what? A bow and arrow. And that's going to be important when we talk about Cupid later on.
I wish you would step back from that ledge, my friend. You could cut ties with all the lies that you've been living in. And if you do not want to see me again, I would understand. I would understand. The angry boy a bit too insane, icing over a secret pain. You know you don't belong. You're the first to fight,
But it goes on to say, as mentioned, the Romans celebrated ŁUPERCALIA to honor the hunter god Lupercus. Wow, that because Nimrod was a hunter too. Interesting. Seeing the parallels, nothing new under the sun. Let's keep going. To the Greeks, from whom the Romans had copied most of their mythology, Lupercus was known as Pan, the god of light, Lucifer, the illuminated one. Look at this. The Phoenicians worshipped the same deity as who? Baal, the sun god, which is where you get your names Lord and God, because they are titles of Baal. They're not the true name of our Heavenly Father, because the true name is Yahuwah. But let's keep going. Baal was one of the many names or titles for who? Nimrod, a mighty hunter, especially of wolves. He was also the founder and first lord of Babel. Like I said, in mystery religion and Freemasonry, Nimrod is considered the first and the founder of Freemasonry. He's considered the first Freemason, which is what? The worship of Lucifer, the worship of Nimrod, the worship of the sun god, S-U-N, and not the acceptance of the true sun, S-O-N. See how Satan had to twist all of that? Are you starting to see this? I hope so, because this is very valuable information. But I'm going to keep going. Defying Yahuwah, Nimrod was the originator, and I just talked about this, of the Babylonian mystery religion, whose mythologies have been copied by the Egyptians, the Greeks, the Romans, and a multitude of other ancient peoples under different names or titles: Pan, Lupercus, Saturn, Osiris. Nimrod is the strong man or hunter warrior god of the ancients. But what does the heart symbol have to do with the day honoring Nimrod / Valentine's Day? Because yes, Valentine's Day is a day that honors and pays homage to Nimrod according to history. This is not according to my opinion. This is not according to what I think. This is actual fact. It says the title Baal means Lord or Master and is worshipped throughout the Bible as the god of pagans. That's why the name is so important. You can watch my other videos on the power of the name and why we should be using the restored, set apart Hebrew names and not these pagan titles. Although ironically enough, even though the article uses the pagan title and has the pagan title in their ministry, but anyway, it says Yahuwah warned his people not to worship or even tolerate the ways of Baal, Slakia, Nimrod. Learn not the way of the heathen, Jeremiah chapter 10. In ancient Chaldean, the language of the Babylonians, Baal, which is similar to Baal, meant heart. This is where the Valentine heart originated. It originated from Baal, because that's also what it means in the Chaldean language. Now this also talks about, notice the name Cupid. It comes from the Latin verb cupere, meaning to desire. Cupid was the son of Venus, Roman goddess of beauty and love. Who is that? Oh yeah, Cupid, son of Venus. Just like Horus, son of Isis, just like Tammuz, son of Semiramis. Are you seeing the parallels here? Are you seeing this? And you can also say Jesus, son of Mary, in mystery religion. Why am I telling you this? Because there's so many similarities. It says to here, according to myth, he was responsible for impregnating numerous goddesses and mortals. Cupid was a childlike archer. Remember, Nimrod was a skilled archer. Mythology describes Cupid as having both a cruel and happy personality, and I'll be talking more about Cupid to come. But of course, what does Yahuwah thinks? He even tells us, learn not the way of the heathen, for the customs of the people are vain. Customs or traditions or cultures or honoring pagan homage to pagan gods. chapter 15, verses 9 even says, "In vain they do worship me, teaching the doctrines for commandments of men." It's all about heathen and heathen worship. He does not like it, nor does he want us partaking in it. And I'm giving you this to share with you just the pagan origins, not to put anyone down, of course, but to just share with you that your mainstream media will not share with you because they know they make a ton of money off these pagan holidays, all of them. Unless it's the feast days, the 7 feast days that are highlighted and outlined in the Torah, then it is in fact pagan. Or if it's not one of the days that we are to commemorate of him, such as Purim, and when we returned the temple, when we got the temple back, which the fake Jews call Hanukkah, then we are not to learn that way. And I'm going to take you to more information on Cupid right now. Now, according to the Encyclopedia Britannica, it tells us that Cupid is the ancient Roman god of love in all its varieties, the counterpart of the Greek god Eros, and the equivalent of Amor in Latin poetry. According to myth, Cupid was the son of Mercury, the winged messenger of the gods, and Venus, the goddess of love. And like I said, if you look up Venus, you'll notice some stark similarities between Venus, Ceres, Isis, Ishtar, Ashtaroth, Easter, and also Cupid, as in who? Horus, Nimrod, the sun gods. He often appeared as a winged infant carrying a bow and a quiver of arrows whose wounds inspired love or passion in his every victim. And remember, we see that who was Nimrod? A hunter. He used a bow and arrow. But not only that, we know that the word heart comes from Baal or Baal. Are you starting to see the similarities? It says he was sometimes portrayed wearing armor like that of Mars, the god of war, perhaps to suggest ironic parallels between warfare and romance, or to symbolize the invincibility of love. Although some literature portrayed Cupid as callous and careless, he was generally viewed as beneficent on account of the happiness he imparted to couples both mortal and immortal. Salakia. At the worst, he was considered mischievous in his matchmaking, the mischief often directed by his mother Venus. In one tale, her machinations backfired when she used Cupid in revenge on the mortal Psyche, only to have Cupid fall in love and succeed in making Psyche his immortal wife. Wow, this story sounds a lot like Nimrod and Semiramis and Tammuz. And if you can't see the parallel, I suggest you do some real research on this. I just want to talk about Valentine's Day. I could go into the story of Nimrod, but you can read Genesis on your own, and you can do more research on that. And Yahuwah willing, I will be doing more videos on that as well. But I want to show you the pagan origins of these holidays, or so-called holidays, and show you that what's the agenda behind them? Well, to give pagan homage and commemoration to pagan gods, while under the name of Christianity, under the name of capitalism, under the name of commercialism. That is exactly what's going on. And like I said, this is nothing new, folks. This stuff has been going on for thousands and thousands of years, even before the Messiah was here. And it's not just this so-called holiday. It's Easter, it's Christmas, it's New Year's, it's all of it. They all have to do with pagan worship, pagan sun worship somehow, or just pagan commemoration of sun gods, of the gods of Baal, the gods of Satan himself.
Second verse. So it all comes down to you. You know what it does now. Happiness drive. Baby walk, baby drive. And he loves you. You see your gypsy.
Right there, shoot it for him. Wait a second, I'll pick you up.
You see your gypsy. You're
faces bleeding with a little fear. I have no fear.